I'm Francesco D'Andrea, the excavation leader in Hierapolis. There is an Italian team here. They work here every year. We are very happy to excavate Hierapolis and restore it, because Hierapolis is a very beautiful archaeological center in the Mediterranean. There is very good collaboration here among us. Turkish and Italian archaeologists are working together. We call Hierapolis and Pamukkale the White Paradise. For what reason? Because there are white travertine pools here. And why are they white? Because there are lots of water sources here. This thermal water produces carbonate and limestone, and every year it forms these 3-centimeter thick travertine pools.
Thermal water is not good for drinking or bathing, because there is so much limestone, and that must be harmful to health. Therefore, during the Second Roman Empire, the inhabitants of Hierapolis used to get water from the mountains through the water system. They built very long water channels, a clay water pipe system, and bridges. Water used to be brought from the mountains to the storage, and then, from the storage, it went to the fountains. The big fountain here was built in the 2nd century AD. In front of the fountain, near the Temple of Apollo, there was a very large pool, because the visitors used to take water there and then go to the Temple of Apollo. There are 2 water systems in Hierapolis. The first one is a thermal water system, and the second one is a drinking water system. The drinking water system fed off the mountains, and the thermal water system fed off the springs there. Some pools were found in the excavations. These pools are good for the health, but a hot spring is needed for bathing. They used to utilize this water for agriculture as well.
These big fountains were used for potable water. And this fountain was very important because it was situated near the Temple of Apollo. The visitors used to come here first and wash themselves.
As for the second fountain, it is the Triton fountain. This fountain is huge, probably the biggest ancient fountain in Turkey. It has a length of 60 meters. These kinds of systems are very important in Hierapolis. There are lots of public toilets, in other words, latrines here. Public health was important. Via some clay water pipes, the water goes to the baths and to the houses of wealthy people, because the poor used to get water from the fountains, and the rest of the water went to the baths. Thermal water was not used for baths because inside the thermal water there is a lot of calcareous salt, and the calcareous salt chokes up the clay water pipes. The 2 public baths that stand here are the signs of wealth. Therefore, Hierapolis and water are closely related to each other. In the excavations conducted here, a beautiful theatre was found as well. On the marble at the gate there is an inscription. On this inscription is written, "Hierapolis is the queen of water sources." And even today, it's the queen of water supplies. Travertine pools in the ancient city of Hierapolis, which is also known as Pamukkale, are the ancient water structures which still attract many tourists who wish to be healed by the water. They are the exceptional structures of the Anatolian water civilization.
Here in Hierapolis, the technology developed thanks to the water, the stone, and the travertines. We found here a hydraulic drawing. The technology here was advanced. The travertine texture that covers the stones formed a very rare and precious structure. The travertine pools are being used too much. They need to be protected. In the past, the water level of the thermal springs was high, but now it's lower. We must love the water because the water is part of our wealth. It needs to be protected. Water supplies and the fountains need to be protected in order to build a new water civilization.
We have also many wishes and idioms based on water, the queen of sources. Here are some of them. Be blessed like water, child. Go like water and come back like water. Learn as fluently as water. The young have the right to drink, the old have the right to speak. A water jug breaks on the way to water, meaning, live by the sword, die by the sword.
Looking at the importance of water, life on Earth began with water. And indeed, in the formation of civilizations, water has played an indispensable role. Even the first cavemen settled down by rivers or lakes. In the Neolithic period too, where mankind switched completely from hunting-gathering to production, we know that there are settlements by water. This importance has lasted for tens of thousands of years. It still carries on today.
The ancient city of Laodicea was established in the middle of the plain that was known as Nikos in ancient times, or Churuksu, rotten water, as it is known today, near Deni Zli. The name of this city is Laodicea. Excavations conducted by Pamukkale University established this city to be 7,500 years old. Laodicea subsisted here until the middle of the 3rd century BC, when it was renamed after Laodicea, the wife of Antiochus II. It was established on the banks of the Asopos River, known as Gumush Chaya, Silver Stream today, and water was brought to the city from here. Since the Hellenistic period, water has been carried here from Assyria, now called Bashpanar, into a chamber where the Deni Zli football stadium is today. Especially early on in the Hellenistic period, water was brought here through clay water pipes. However, later in the Roman period, since these clay pipes were weak, they would burst open and require repair. They used open channels or closed travertine pipes instead to bring water to the city. The structure of the first water distribution terminal that brought water from Deni Zli to Laodicea in the ancient period is very interesting. There were 2 water distribution terminals in this ancient city. The first one provided 25% of water distribution in the city, while the second one took care of 75%. The way water was brought here is a wonder of engineering. Especially the double travertine pipes on the slopes of the Eski Hisar, old castle, were designed brilliantly. They had safety valves to prevent bursting open due to high pressure. Since water here was very limy, they would open these pipes and clean the valves with vinegar. And, according to ancient sources, heated vinegar is 100 times more effective as a cleaning agent than cold vinegar. It is known that, in bringing water to this long and rugged area, controls were made and the constant flow of water into the city was assured. This is because no water means no life in the city. Laodicea is surrounded by rivers on 3 sides. There is Asopos, Gumush Chaya, Silver Stream, on the west, Kapros, Bashla Chaya, Headed Stream, and Likos, Churuksu, Rotten Water, on the north. However, the water of the high platform in the middle of the plain could only come from Deni Zli. This means a waterway in excess of 8 kilometers. Much of this waterway can still be traced today. A population of nearly 100,000 lived here in the Roman period. For this reason, in a city with such a high population, water was very important. Therefore, water was brought here through a double line.
We stand before the first water distribution terminal. This terminal was built as a rectangular travertine block. There is a tank on the upper section. First, to take the pressure off, water would be collected here. According to ancient sources, there are 3 main distribution networks here. At the very top, there were pipe systems that sent the water to baths. Just below that were systems that fed water to theatres, and at the bottom were the systems that sent water to public fountains. We can understand that if there was a problem, water supply would first be cut from baths and then from theatres, but water would always flow to public fountains. Of course, no water at a public fountain would mean the end of life in the city.
At the first distribution terminal in Laodicea, it is possible to observe both the distribution system and how water was given to different areas of the city with clay pipes. Since the waters of the area are very limey, it's easy to observe that water pipes were filled with chalk in time and replaced with new ones. There is also a second water line and a second water distribution terminal here. The second water distribution terminal is a more complex structure. Here, there are pressure regulation systems, there are precipitation systems. Beyond those, there are the pools. The water that was rested in the big pool was distributed to 75% of the city. There are 5 public fountains connected to the second water distribution terminal. There is one more public fountain right next to the first water distribution terminal. As time passed, the 2 main water distribution terminals here started to fail to answer the needs of the city. This is because the elevation of the city is 250 to 290 meters above sea level. The second water distribution terminal, which is the highest point, is at 293 meters. Street distribution systems in the city, that is planned with grid systems in certain areas, are also interesting. Street water distribution systems in this city were built in the late Roman and early Byzantine periods. However, in this area, public fountains were made next to water sources during the Seljuk period, the Ottoman period, and even the Republic period as well. Such charity fountains can be observed especially in city centres, public promenades, streets, and on the sides of main avenues. This fountain system still goes on in Deni zli. However, around Deni zli, in regions like Tavas and Chal that are far from water resources, this problem has been avoided by the use of cisterns. Some of these cisterns, most of which still stand intact today, are still in use.
Now, as I said before, water is life. It is essential that water is kept clean and is not polluted or wasted. This rule has been documented in charters from ancient times. We are discovering these during excavations. We should take good care to observe these principles today.
We should learn our lessons from ancient times. Unless we gain an awareness of water usage, the revenge of water as our life source will be ruthless. Water may destroy homes. It's sometimes hot and sometimes cold. It sweeps away all that's before it. It demolishes, accumulates, digs or elevates. It giveth and it taketh away. Still, a source of healing is water and its tranquil sound. From time to time, we find healing from the sound of the water that accompanies the cock crow of the rose-crested rooster of Deni zli before the sun rises.